This episode of the Gaming Lovers podcast, not officially sponsored by Egg Inc. Because it's all I've been playing all week.
All right, honey, put that phone down. It is time to record. Honey? Brendo.
Hang on, I'm almost done.
Seriously, put that away.
The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem.
G'day and welcome to the Gaming Lovers Podcast, episode 82. I'm Jem.
I'm sorry for downloading another mobile game. It's happened again.
We'll get to that shortly in Gaming Goals.
I am Brendo, by the way. That's my name is not actually sorry, but I'm sure you figured that out. It's all right. Let's move on.
In this episode of the Gaming Lovers Podcast, we're going to be looking at some fun and somewhat surprising celebrity cameos in video games over the years. And just to make sure that they're cameos, we'll be excluding the likes of people like Matthew Perry, Liam Neeson, Freddie Prinze Jr., Keith Sutherland, who have all played, big prominent roles in video games. Those aren't cameos, they're key roles.
Just between us, do you think it's wise to exclude Liam Neeson from anything? Because he may hunt us down. He's known for that these days. It's what he does.
If it means we get to meet the guy, I don't mind. Before we get to that though, it is time for Gaming Goals. Yeah.
Ooh, a solo.
Well, you do lots of solos.
Feel like I should have been accompanying with an instrument or a harp, or not that a harp isn't an instrument, but goodness me.
You're a bit slow on the uptake today.
Well, my brain is clogged with eggs.
Explain to us this new addiction.
Look, I have made my stance on mobile games very clear over the course of these past 80-plus podcasts, is that I do not particularly like them. I like to play games with sticks and buttons and keyboards and mices, mooses, whatever inputs. I don't particularly like playing on mobiles. I don't particularly like that a lot of the games are so predatory with their microtransactions. And the most thing that I'm most concerned about recently is that I am playing them more and more. And I discovered a game this week. I just wanted a time waster to fill in between breaks at work. I rolled the dice. I lucky dipped a game in the best selling ones.
Yep.
Egg Inc. Egg Incorporated. I have an affection for games that have ink in the titles. I got hooked on Plague Inc. And now I'm hooked on Egg Inc. Very different games. Egg farming must have been the calling that I missed through my life, because I love Egg Inc. and my love of Egg Inc. has spread to you as well.
Yes, it has. And I kind of wish that it was that easy to make money in real life, because there is no way in real life that you could make that much money off of chickens and eggs. I've seen Chicken Run, and I know that chicken farms are struggling.
That's right. The authority on all things in the chicken-based economy, Chicken Run.
I don't want to be a pie. I don't like gravy.
No, you do like gravy.
I love gravy.
You would be a pie. Egg Inc. is a simple little mobile game where you have a chicken farm, you release chickens from the hatchery, they then generate you money by popping out eggs of incredible value. Which came first, the chicken, the egg, or the quintillion dollars that they generate? And you make upgrades that spend the money, which then generates money quicker, and then you upgrade your vehicles to distribute the eggs, just like a big drug-pushing company, except you're in the field of egg pushing. And that's not just the chickens pushing out the eggs. That's a play on words that didn't quite work right, and I'm here awkwardly hanging out.
So aside from your new mobile game addiction, what else have you been playing this week?
Well, no points, no rewards, no gold medals for guessing that I have been all about the Outer Worlds. And this game has me hooked in the best possible way. Not in a, this is detrimental to his health and he hasn't slept and he looks like a horror. That's just me normally. We can't blame the Outer Worlds for that. But I just love, in particular, the looting aspect. There's always something for my sticky fingers to repurposed to my liking in that game. I quite like lockpicking. I quite like hacking. But the thing I enjoy the most, and I think I mentioned this in passing in a previous episode, but the fact that you have different skills that can affect dialogue choices. And it's not just a case of having points in the persuade field, which, of course we do. Mm-hmm. That's how you play these games. And someone tries to hardball you and you say, no, I'm not doing this job. If you're going to pay me that much, I want more. I want a little more. And you persuade them, or you intimidate them, or you lie to them. Different fields. But then you also have the ability to use medicine, or engineering, or leadership, or any of the other things, one-handed melee. All these things could be a dialogue option if your skill is high enough. Someone might say to you, oh, I'm sick and they haven't got enough medicine for me, so I need you to steal it for me. And your option for your dialogues will usually be, yes, sure, I'll help you. No, rack off. Or if your medicine skill is high enough, for example, you might be able to say, you have awfully few symptoms for someone who's critically ill and wants me to steal medicine for them. Are you sure this is the reason why you want the medicine? And then they will say, okay, look, I'm not actually the one who's sick. It's for someone else. I can make a bit of money by slinging them the goods. So, I'll pay you to get me the money. They pay me for delivering the blah, blah, blah. So just by having that extra skill, the extra points in that skill means you get to learn more about each individual quest. If you have high engineering, there might be a section where something's malfunctioning and you can basically tell the person what's wrong with it. Just like any stupid person like myself with our solar system, all it takes is somebody would walk up and say, that's what's wrong with it. And you're like, oh, it's so easily fixed. I feel dumb. You can make NPCs feel that dumb. And that's where I love the superiority I have with my high intellect and all of my skills and knowledge. I feel like an incredible jack of all trades in this game because I've sort of kept it even across the board. I'm not really a master at much in the Outer Worlds, but I kind of like having high stats in just about everything. So the more varied dialogue options that require these skill checks, I can pretty much do them all and get more experience points for doing them.
When are you going to do a dumb playthrough?
A dumb playthrough? We'll see. Because there's so much vying for our attention at the moment. In this week alone, Death Stranding has just come out. A game that, of course, I'm interested in. Pokemon Sword and Shield come out.
Yep.
We have Jedi Fallen Order on our doorstep. That's a lot of games that are... This is the best/worst time of year. Without a doubt for video games. The best/worst.
Worst as far as hitting our bank account.
Hitting your bank account or feeling guilty because Christmas is just around the corner and you shouldn't buy yourself gifts at this time of year.
Unless no one else is getting you stuff.
Well, I've made that mistake before. Hello, Mega Drive Mini.
Oops.
But that's pretty much it. I've been doing exploration in space with the Outer Worlds and I have been farming bajillions and bajillions of eggs.
I've been farming right alongside you.
What do you like about Egg Inc?
I don't know. I love mobile games in general, and there's something really satisfying about seeing something that starts off so small grow into this big industrial site, Mm-hmm. It looks all rickety at the beginning and then it just continues to grow. And yeah, I wish real life worked that quickly.
You would break the economy, just like in that episode of classic DuckTales.
It'd be like, which war was it where you see people with like wheelbarrows of money because that's how much it costs to get food because everything they'd printed too much. And yeah, I can't remember. I just remember seeing a photo of that in history. I've also been playing Hakuoki. I still haven't finished my first official run. It's been going longer, so I haven't hit a bad ending yet, so that's good.
This is the visual novel you've been playing?
Yes.
On the PS Vita?
Yep.
Who is best boy?
I don't know. I've only started one run, so I got to revisit all of them first to figure out my favourite.
Playing the field. Why does that not surprise me in a visual novel?
That's kind of the point. Not the point, but the formula, I guess, of those games. So there's no other way to do it.
It has been a busy week, though.
It has been an exceptionally... It feels like I say that every week, though. Sorry, I can't keep using that.
It's been a busy life, though.
Yes. Yesterday especially was very busy. My voice is like croaky and breaking because I was shouting so much and directing as we were filming like a Christmas movie yesterday.
Just what a voice artist needs.
I know. Thankfully, I haven't got any work today. It's just the podcast. So I'm like, I would treat it like radio where even when my voice was bad on radio, you'd kind of push through.
Yeah.
But for voiceover, you can't do that so much. Anyways, that's pretty much all I've been playing this week. Hopefully I'll have more time to play this week, especially since I want to rest my voice.
It's a bit slim on gaming goals this week.
Mm-hmm. But maybe we'll have more ambitions come the end of the episode.
Ooh, ambitions.
Yes.
My favourite. When you have all the hopes and dreams of all the games you're going to play, and then life gets in the way and you play like only about 60 hours. And it's just not enough. It's just not enough.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Death Stranding, as you mentioned earlier, coming out this past week.
Yes. You bought it for me? Oh,
No.
I love you so much. What? Oh,
In the lead up to
my
it,
love
there
is
was-
revoked.
In the lead up to it, there were a lot of like reveals of different cutscenes and character reveals. There's obviously a lot of celebrity actual characters. They don't count for our category today, as far as cameos.
Is Norman Reedus the single coolest Norman that has ever existed?
Probably.
Probably. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
He's trying to rehabilitate the name Norman. But there were definitely still a lot of celebrity cameos sprinkled in amongst all of that. And then more and more of them are coming to light as the game is now out. So we're going to take a look at those and many more right after this.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Gaming Lovers.
Now, as we mentioned, when Death Stranding was being finally unveiled to the masses, we expected some weirdness, but we did not expect to see Conan O'Brien, of all people, inside Death Stranding. And that is just one example. Throughout the years and years and decades of video games, there have been some very unexpected video game celebrity cameos, some crossovers, interesting pairings.
Absolutely. And this isn't the first time that Conan O'Brien has just randomly appeared in a video game before. I think this is the first time he's got the full body scan, and so his likeness is in the video game.
Yep.
But he and his buddy Andy Richter, if you watch the show, they do the Clueless Gamer segments together. They got to appear in Halo 4 and did their, kind of banter that they do on the show, but all decked out in armor, and I believe you even have the option to attack them if you want to.
Now, this upset me because I played through Halo 4 and I didn't even know this was a thing until this podcast research. So I'm just bitter about this
You
because
can go back and shoot them.
quite often I'm good at picking up voices. You and I quite often compete with all right, I know who that voice actor is.
Yes.
Who is it? Tell me. Do you know? Do you know who voiced Spyro the Dragon?
Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either. I'm not feeling very confident in my knowledge today. That's basically what we're getting to here.
Yep.
But it's kind of funny that Conan O'Brien started with Clueless Gamer because he was a clueless gamer and quite often has oblivious remarks about, he knows nothing about the franchise he's going to play. And yet, if you do segments so regularly about being a clueless gamer, surely the name Clueless Gamer doesn't apply at some point because you've had so much experience and you're in at least 2 video games.
Yeah, I think the joke is that Andy Richter is the one that loves the games and Conan is the one that makes stupid jokes about them to try to relate to people who don't like video games.
Yeah.
Even though he does like video games, it's a bit of an act.
I'm sure we've all tried to introduce a non-gaming friend to a video game of your choice, to mixed results.
Yes, and when they don't like a game you love, you get really defensive. I'm like, going, no, it's not the game that's wrong, it's you that's wrong. Anyway. There's a few trends as far as celebrity cameos in video games, and one of them, I would say, is a lot of music artists and rap artists, like Snoop Dogg, who provided some of his music for True Crime Streets of LA, but also was a hidden character in the game. That's the true cameo there.
Well, there you go. True crime, true cameo. Streets of LA was like a GTA attempt
Yes.
to clone the success, and it was pretty good. It did have quite a few gameplay upgrades to where GTA was at the time. I found it quite slick, and I did not know that Snoop Dogg was in True Crime Streets of LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not faring well here. Where's my scorecard? Hit me with another one. There's got to be at least one of these that I'm aware of.
All right. Now, I don't know how much you play Call of Duty.
I played Call of Duty up to the 4th entry in the franchise, so everything beyond that, I have no idea.
You probably won't know this one then.
Okay.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare had both Kit Harington and Conor McGregor as cameo appearances. They were scanned in, so they have their likeness in the game.
Awesome. Well, you are correct. That's, again, another pair I didn't know. I know Conor McGregor is no stranger to video games, being in the UFC games, obviously. But like you said, that wouldn't be a cameo. He's supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise appearances, unexpected casting, not only of voices, but also likenesses in this day and age. A simple scan with about 6,000 cameras
Bit
around
of mode
you.
capping.
It's incredible.
Yes. So Kit Harington's is one of those ones that's kind of, there's a little asterisk next to that because he's kind of the main antagonist for that particular game.
Spoilers, I only had 8 Call of Duty games to get through until I got to Infinite Warfare, and now you've just gone and ruined it.
I'm sorry, but I feel like, because we said earlier that anyone that's like a main character, a featured character, isn't a cameo. So I wanted to put that little caveat there.
Can I attack Conor McGregor from the safety of my couch?
I don't know, I've not played it.
Normally not something you'd want to try.
Or even just online on Twitter. He's savage with his words too.
Now, like you said, we're trying not to stick to main characters in stories, but I do just want to say one little shout out. In Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the primary antagonist, Officer Tenpenny, I was playing that and I kept having this feeling in my brain that I know who this is. Who is this voice? And at the time, I did not expect it to be Samuel L. Jackson.
Did he use his catchphrase?
He uses his catchphrase many times. Many times.
In many 2K games, just chock full of celebrity cameos. WWE even isn't immune to them, which is kind of funny sometimes because basically they are all, in a sense, celebrity, I guess, characters.
Mm-hmm.
But then occasionally you've got ones that are like not canon. So you've got those that aren't actually wrestlers that are somehow joining them in the wrestling ring, like the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I do not really want to try and fight the Terminator in a wrestling match because I don't know how well he can pull his punches.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, you mentioned music artists earlier. Fred Durst. Everyone aspires to unlock Fred Durst in SmackDown 2, whatever the game was on the PS1. Fred Durst, the lead singer of Limp Bizkit, which did use their Rollin' for the biker Undertaker character. So there's a distant link as to why Fred Durst would be in SmackDown and maybe even one of the Nintendo 64 games from memory, but that is not something you want to fact check because I might be wrong, and it would be about the 8th time so far this episode I would be wrong. My ego is starting to become fragile. However, Fred Durst also, I believe, was unlockable in Fight Club as well, a pathetic fighting game where you just beat each other up, and Fred Durst gets thrown
along
into.
with Abraham Lincoln, I believe. Because
why not?
That's another trend in celebrity cameos in video games is presidents. There is a weird obsession with putting long gone presidents and some even living like Barack Obama into fight games, which it's kind of funny, into basketball games.
Yes.
It is
and even
amusing.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty Zombies.
Yeah.
Why not be JFK or Nixon or any of the other cast of colourful characters?
Be flipping off the zombies as you go.
Very strange.
Dear.
NBA Jam, however, I think has one of the all-time greats with celebrity cameos because you want style, you want pizzazz, you've got it with NBA Jam. You've got 90s gameplay And then you throw in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air into NBA Jam, and you have got the 90s match made in heaven.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Hopefully not getting into any trouble in his neighborhood.
Well, they were shooting some b-ball. It's what they were doing.
Some of the other notable ones in 2K games, I believe in the basketball, the NBA 2K, Justin Bieber, which isn't all that surprising because he's actually played a lot of celebrity basketball games throughout the years.
Okay, that makes sense then.
You've got
I was about to say, I don't know where we got from A to B on that one, but okay, if he plays the celebrity basketball games.
Kevin Hart, which would be amusing.
Is he a bit short? I suppose you could have short basketball players.
Yeah, just they need to be good at jumping. Going back to the singers and pop stars that have made celebrity cameo appearances in video games, this one's kind of interesting because he's technically had his own games before, really creepy ones about saving children.
All right, I know where you're going with this.
In Space Channel 5, a rhythm game, Michael Jackson.
I didn't even know what rhythm games were when Space Channel 5 came out, but I had a Dreamcast and it looked cool. And I had no idea what the gameplay was even supposed to be.
It looks so bad now if you go back and watch footage of it. It's hilarious. It's this weird spacey looking game. It's the kind of thing like back in that era what we thought the future would look like. And apparently we thought people in the future had no taste. So it's strange. I guess that's kind of fitting, really.
Now, decades ago, a very controversial game came out called Postal, where basically you were just murdering people, and it got a lot of negative press.
Going postal.
Mm-hmm. There was actually a sequel, Postal 2, and included in Postal 2 was Gary Coleman.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
That's still not like the weirdest cameo. I think for me, one of the ones that really caught my attention happened to be in GTA Vice City Stories. Phil Collins. I can feel it calling in the air tonight.
Where, of course, if you know Phil Collins, you know his music, you know the messages. The messages, the emotion, and the conflict with the mafia that is intertwined in those lyrics. Well, you have to protect Phil Collins from
being smackdowned, from getting whacked from the hitman from Agent 47.
Not quite. That's a different game series. I'm sorry.
You still have to protect him, though.
While
if you
licensed music is playing. A live performance from the person you are trying to protect.
If you fail to protect him, though, the rafters will fall onto him. So it meets a bit of a grisly end. Speaking of singers, I told you it was a trend. In Brutal Legend, you have Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yes.
And
time to play the game.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy.
Yes. So, two big names when it comes to rock.
Yes. Even though this generation, the young kids may only know Ozzy Osbourne from like reality TV shows and weird appearances as guest hosts and judges on different shows. But if you have a game which is basically a love letter to rock and metal by Jack Black, of all people, you're going to have some celebrity cameos in there. And
absolutely.
Who better than Ozzy and Lemmy?
Mm-hmm. Both being quite snarky to you, although they're kind of technically helping you out. I believe Ozzy is there to help you buff armor of sorts, kind of like a tinker workshop. And Lemmy is a healer, even though his name would allude to otherwise.
Killmeister.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, Lemmy from Motorhead has another game character named after him. Do you know who it is?
It is one of the Bowser kids.
That's right. One of the Cooper kids. You are correct.
Thank you.
Those kids all named after musical talents. Ludwig, obviously. That's all I can think of. But
and
Iggy for Iggy Pop.
Yes.
Yeah, so they do all have a little tie in there. And of course, the great musical performer himself, Bowser Jr. Is that not right?
Now, Saints Row is chock full of celebrity cameos as well.
We were talking about true crime, Streets of LA, and we've had games like Sleeping Dogs and other ones that tried to capture the same feel of an epic crime drama as you go through the seedy underbelly of the crime-riddled city. But then Saints Row started off that way. As a direct sort of competitor, this is our attempt at making the same style of game. It didn't perform as well. And so smartly, they pivoted from the third game onwards and made it quite weird.
Yes.
And when you are riding around the city of Steelport in Saints Row the Third, you may discover the mayor is not only portrayed by Burt Reynolds, but the mayor of Steelport is Burt Reynolds.
Which is so amazing.
The best part is you can actually recruit him to be one of your quote-unquote homies. So you can call Burt Reynolds when you are outmatched and undergunned, and he will send backup.
That's another series that Keith David's been a part of where he plays himself, which is very funny.
Famous actor, voiceover artist, Keith David. He voiced the Arbiter in Halo 2. He voiced Anderson in Mass Effect. Famous voice. He's in Community, the TV show, in the later seasons. And appears as Keith David, the Vice President of the United States, Keith David.
Yes.
Who then you go into his mind and he has a strange rivalry with Rowdy Roddy Piper, the 1980s professional wrestler.
Yes.
And you just start to get to the point where you're like, what even is Saints Row anymore? Jane Austen gets thrown in, aliens from outer space. I'm so confused.
It's awesome. It is the most hilarious and somewhat psychotropic gaming experience. But yeah, I nearly forgot about Roddy Piper. So thank you for that. Going back to musical appearances in video games, and here is, I'm going to tell you who the cameo is. You have to guess the game.
Okay.
All right. Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Oh.
What video game do you think he made a cameo in?
By default, I think Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
No. I mean, their music might have made it into one of the games, I'm not sure.
Well, that's why I said it, because in the first Guitar Hero, there's a Kiss song. Or in the second one, I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. It's more sportish.
All right, I wasn't going for sportish. I was about to move on to fighting games, but...
Well, fighting is a sport, but that's not what I was leaning towards.
I have to say you have stumped Brendo.
Tony Hawk's Underground.
Because when I think pro skating, I think Gene Simmons. My actual joke guess was going to be something Yoshi related because they both have incredibly long tongues.
Oh dear. At the beginning of this topic, we talked about how Conan O'Brien, who is like a talk show host, has made cameos. Well, he's not the only one. Jimmy Kimmel made an appearance in Black Ops 2.
This, I have just avoided most of the Call of Duty games for the last, 10 iterations because they've primarily been multiplayer games with very little in the way of actual story missions. But you didn't tell me that there was Jimmy Kimmel involved.
Mm-hmm.
And Conor McGregor and Kit Harington and the guy who was in Infinite Warfare as the bad guy. I can't remember, but there's all these celebrities getting in on the, no doubt, the lucrative paydays they're getting because that game sells like hotcakes every time.
Absolutely, especially when you're using your likeness too. There is a certain amount of money that comes with that, That's why when you see like dolls that are made in like actual copying celebrities' faces and not just creating a unique look, they cost a little more to make, but because part of the royalties have to go back to that celebrity.
Yeah.
So
give me that payday.
One of my favorites on this list because it has so many ridiculous celebrity cameos throughout the whole game. Command & Conquer Red Alert 3.
Yeah, baby. When we start getting into full motion video in the 1990s, it seemed that Command & Conquer would always be throwing out celebrities you just didn't expect.
Yes.
And over the years, I didn't know who they were at the time.
You would have known some of them.
I look back now and see footage from games that I played in the 90s. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's J.K. Simmons. Oh my goodness, that's Ric Flair.
Yep.
And these sort of Command & Conquer cameos that didn't click for me back then just because I didn't have the pop culture knowledge that I do now. So it's like a 20 years too late discovery of some of these things.
Yeah. Ric Flair is one of the more notable ones, definitely, especially for us as wrestling fans. A shame that he doesn't do the woo! That would have been really funny. But David Hasselhoff also plays the president.
All right, that was one I actually did know at the time.
His speech in that, if you haven't seen it, go find the cutscenes on YouTube because that is pretty funny. And it's kind of almost beautiful in it, the way it almost parodies the ridiculousness of some of the things that that politicians say in their speeches and how hypocritical they are.
Yeah.
So
we've had Michael Bain from Aliens and Terminator. We've had James Earl Jones from everything.
Yeah, Mufasa.
Michael Ironside, Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian himself, UFC's Randy Couture. And as we start getting into the later years, things start becoming a little more identifiable.
Wait, Holly Valance?
Holly Valance.
Oh my goodness. Now that name may not mean anything to you, but in Australia, it does. Oh my goodness. Gonna go and give you my
Kiss, kiss.
If you are a fan of, like a long-time fan of Neighbours, going back a while now, Holly Valance. Not what I would expect to see on that list.
Excuse me. Holly Valance is among the most influential actors that Australia has ever produced in the video game realm because she was a lead in the abysmal rendition of DOA, Dead or Alive, the movie.
Oh no.
She was a front runner in that cast. So I'll have no bad talking about Holly Valance.
Let's go to a name I think most people will recognise. In Grand Theft Auto 4, Ricky Gervais.
He has a set at the comedy club as himself.
Yes. Very fun little cameo. You go and just enjoy his routine. Ricky Gervais has one of the funniest laughs that if he starts laughing genuinely hysterically, then I can't help but join in.
It's very high-pitched, right?
It is the cutest and most contagious laugh in the world. Now, here's one that's got another little asterisk because it's kind of like a side character, but it's an interesting story, so I want to bring it up anyway. In Destiny, one of your companions is a robot, and that was originally voiced by Peter Dinklage.
Originally voiced?
Yes.
Now, I haven't played Destiny. I just think it's too dangerous to play with Destiny. What's the story here?
Well, unfortunately, his work was met with a lot of criticism.
Oh.
People, some of them trying to blame it on the lines, the dialogue, while others say that he just phoned it in, didn't do a very good job. So, as does happen in this industry, it got recast and I guess patched over with Nolan North.
Oh, that's fine then. If it's Nolan North, I was about to feel bad that somebody's hard work met with such disdain from the community. But if Nolan North gets another payday, that guy needs it. He is struggling in the voice acting industry.
Yeah. Look, we love Nolan. It's interesting.
Uncle Nolly.
Uncle Nolly. It's just interesting, because it does happen quite regularly. You get, you might do a job and then they'll recast. You still get paid, but the end job might have someone else's voice. That happened to the voice actress for Nala in the original Lion King.
Oh.
A different actress was on the red carpet and none of the other cast knew who she was supposed to be there for until she said, oh yeah, I voiced Nala. And they're like, wait, you did? But somebody else did. Awkward. It does happen. It's not easy, and I'm sure it bruises the ego of whoever gets replaced, but
it's not exactly the same, but in the making of Heavy Rain, you had the behind the scenes and you see the people and they're the live action versions of the people they scanned and performed the voices for the different characters. And it's like, oh, wow, you can see them and they just look a little bit more real because they're actual people. And then you get to the chick who plays Madison and it looks nothing like her. And I'm like, wait, I'm a bit confused. They just used her looks and used the voice of someone else. And it was very confusing.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
That happens. Sometimes it's very Singing in the Rain. Sometimes the voice does not match the face. So, or at least what they want anyway, as far as the character. Interesting, though, that because of the backlash that it got from fans, that was part of the reason why it got changed. So that would sting a little bit. When it comes to sporting cameos, there are a lot as far as basketball is concerned, but this time around it is a famous basketballer that has been in everything else.
I know where this is going. Shaq Fu, baby!
Yes. Shaquille O'Neal has done a lot. He's had plenty of his own games as well, some of them incredibly weird. There seems to be a trend about that when games get made about a specific person.
I know he was in a UFC game.
Yes. Undisputed 2010.
I would not want to fight Shaq in a fist fight, in a grappling match. Being that tall, imagine the range he would have. He'd be like, when you're holding a kid who's angry and trying to get to you. That's what he would be like against almost anyone else who's like 7'4" or something.
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to see him fight Brock Lesnar.
Who would have thought a basketballer would do so well in mixed martial arts against the likes of Brock Lesnar, like you said, or Randy Couture, or Bruce Lee? Because I'm sure he was in one of the UFC games as well.
We'll have more celebrity cameos, and including one of the personally weirdest ones I've found right after this.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side, and you could be featured in the next podcast.
Going back to early 2000s, what's one game that we all played a lot on the computer?
Oh, I was going to say Sonic Adventure, but I guess you can play that on a computer, but it completely disarmed my joke. It'd have to be The Sims, sure. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
The Sims, of all things, has had celebrity cameos. It's kind of weird to think about, really, given that it's a game based around building original characters from scratch. Well, but even they have their Easter egg cameos.
Of course. I mean, the Grim Reaper himself is very famous. He's been in literature for millennia at this point, right? Not who you're talking about?
No, there have been several kind of pop stars that have made an appearance, even your favourite, Bon Jovi. I know. It's a little strange.
I could have romanced John Bon Jovi.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Possibly.
Who wouldn't?
But for me, the weirdest one is Drew Carey in The Sims House Party.
Oh.
If you are throwing an incredible house party, then Drew Carey will show up wanting to join and bring his friends. Just who you want crashing your party.
Well, he did that in one of the Royal Rumbles as well in the WWE, so you never know when Drew Carey's going to show up. I am disappointed, however, that Holly Valance has not made the cut in The Sims. Talk about your best celebrities.
Oh, my gosh. As we continue on with the pop star trend for mobile games, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Yes, I do know this one.
Do you know who it is?
It would have to be a pretty grande guess. Ariana Grande.
Yes. She doesn't just provide a song for the game, but she has her own little playable character, complete with her black bunny mask and ears outfit. And it's kind of pretty straightforward that it's her, with the description saying, a beautiful singer from a distant world. So she has singing attacks and all sorts of stuff.
Well, it is Final Fantasy. You do have different jobs, and some of them have been weird. Like, you have your mages and your fighters and your dragoons, and then you have dancer or songstress. So it's not unprecedented. That's all I'm saying.
Well, she's now officially part of Final Fantasy lore.
It should be a rule that if you perform the opening song for the game, you have to be in the game. I demand Florence and the Machine add-on for Final Fantasy 15. Stand by me.
That would be fun.
At least the machine could push the car for you.
Here's one I didn't know about until I started doing some digging. Probably because I've never ever played these games before. Have you heard of Outlaw Golf?
I think I can picture the cover, but I've never played Outlaw Golf, and I'm hoping that's to my benefit.
They were known for their crass humour. It was a bit more adult-orientated, even though it was still golf.
Well, I've seen people play golf and they do a lot of swearing, so I suppose that does line up.
But Steve Carell was basically like the commentator for that game.
Interesting.
Making jokes and using his childish sense of humour, I think long before The Office made it big. He was using that famous wit of his to make crass jokes.
Who would have guessed?
Another person that actually did some voiceover work in a video game before they kind of hit it big, I guess, as far as in movies, is Cara Delevingne.
I don't know who that is.
She was the Enchantress in Suicide Squad. She's done several other things as well, but before then, she was in GTA 5 as the radio host.
Something that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So why weren't you in the Suicide Squad? Jem?
Well,
You've done radio before.
Yeah, but
This
I
could have
wasn't a
been-
fashion model turned actor, so there's that.
Well, you should be.
No, there's the expression face for radio.
Oh, boo. I like your face.
Oh, thank you. You have to like it. I think one of the best cameos and the most fitting cameos of all time has to be Kevin Sorbo in God of War 3. And if you don't know who he is, he played Hercules on TV for many years.
In the 90s.
Yes.
Now, this is one of those ones that while playing the game, God of War 3, I didn't realise it was Kevin Sorbo playing the game. But again, through the behind-the-scenes making-ofs, things like that.
Yep.
And you see that they got the quote-unquote iconic Kevin Sorbo for Hercules in God of War. It's a role that's sort of half ridiculed, but he sort of owns it
Yeah.
as that Herculean man.
A bit over the top.
Yeah. Just like David Hasselhoff owns his goofy roles. Kevin Sorbo playing Hercules is just such a clever bit of meta amusement
Totally.
for the fans and no doubt for the creators of the game too.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's another one I had no clue about. In Fable 3, did you know that Michael Fassbender is in it?
I probably didn't know who Michael Fassbender was when I played Fable 3. I only knew him as Magneto and onwards.
Now, again, a little asterisk. He plays the villain, King Logan. So it's technically not really a cameo, but it's kind of
It's an unexpected casting.
Yes.
We're being flexible with these rules
Yeah, I
sometimes.
think in Fable 3, there's a few. It's a pretty stacked cast with Simon Pegg, Ben Kingsley, John Cleese. That's a strong lineup right there.
John Cleese, speaking of cameos, inside Jade Empire, one of the funniest characters in that entire game, has a very identifiable voice because it's John Cleese and you can pick John Cleese's voice a mile away. Do you know what the character is that he played in Jade Empire? It's a BioWare game, but I believe you haven't played it. And John Cleese portrays the wonderful character, Sir Roderick Ponce von Fondlebottom, the Magnificent Bastard.
Oh, dear. Another one for the pop stars making cameos in video game category. I've lost count of that now. David Bowie. late great.
Omnicron. Omicron? The Nomad Soul. I know this. It's a PC game from the 90s. Very blocky. But I don't know if it's Omnicron or I can't even say anything. I'm just sounding like a weird creature now. Omicron.
I'm not sure because that's not the game that I had listed.
Oh, no! I was so happy that I knew. I need to look that up immediately.
That's hilarious.
Omnicron.
But while you look that up, he was also made into Lego for Lego Rock Band. They put him and made a Lego Bowie, so in his likeness and
Lego
everything.
Bowie.
Yeah. Nice way to honour him.
Okay, it's Omicron. Not Omnicron. That just brings up different companies for technology resource providers and mid-management mentoring. That's not a game. That's not fun. Omicron, The Nomad Soul, 1999. Ooh. People also search for Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. I might have to play this. Quantic Dream. Oh, this is just a discovery of things I didn't even know. I didn't even know that Quantic Dream made a game before Fahrenheit. Directed by David Cage. I'm off to play I can't say this word. Omicron.
Probably one of the most famous women back in the early 2000s, Carmen Electra.
Oh, yes.
Haven't heard her name in quite some time.
No, I had
Crushes
an
on
admiration
her.
for her physique.
Now, do you know what she made an appearance in?
A fitness game.
No. But there weren't really many fitness games back then.
I don't know.
Def Jam, Fight for New York.
Def Jam.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
And one of the last ones on the list,
Mm-hmm.
Ronda Rousey.
Who was in... I can picture her with a gun. No.
Not for what I... possibly been
Sonya
in more than
Blade.
one.
She did the voice for Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat.
She was also an Easter egg in World of Warcraft.
Well, there you go.
You can find her hanging around the Monk Class Hall in the Legion expansion pack. How funny is that? I'm guessing she's thrilled given that she's quite an avid gamer too.
Yeah. It is nice when gamers get to that mainstream level of appreciation and they can say, hey, by the way, this is me in this game. So everyone should play this and not think we're dorks for playing World of Warcraft. Which is what the stigma was when it first came out.
Yep, but now it is one of the biggest money-making machines and the reason that the gaming industry is kicking Hollywood's butt. I have one thing left on my list. Is there anything else you can think of before we wrap up this?
Nope, I'm enjoying being shocked and surprised by some of these.
You won't be shocked by the last one, though.
Okay, good.
I thought I'd bring it full circle after we started with Death Stranding and talking about Conan O'Brien and all the other different kind of cameos that are featured in the new game that just launched.
Yep.
But that's not the first time that there have been cameos in anything done by Hideo Kojima. Probably one of the most slightly narcissistic cameos is in Metal Gear Solid 5, where Hideo Kojima himself makes a cameo appearance.
Well, to be fair, this was while he was still being oppressed by Konami.
Yes.
And trying to express his freedom while being stifled by the parent company that was overseeing the project.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to rescue him from imprisonment.
Mm-hmm. It's like he was putting out that cry for help in the game, and now it's really apparent to us all. It makes me a little sad, but at least he's doing well and his game is doing relatively well. Some people are still confused by it.
They are confused by it. I will probably be confused by it. To be fair, I've played through the entire Metal Gear Solid saga, and I'm still confused by that at some points, but it's part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to play Death Stranding, and I might not until Christmas.
You'll get around to it. That much is true.
That much is true.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll see what other cameos are in there that we've completely missed.
Well, that's the best thing. I don't know, because I don't look at trailers or read news articles about games that I know I'm going to play. So, if there are surprise things like Conan O'Brien giving you an otter head, then sure enough, I will be surprised. There is enough already just with the main cast of people like Mads Mikkelsen, Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro.
It's a strong cast. It's interesting seeing that too. When you see the trailers, they advertise it almost like a movie where they're listing all the cast. You don't get that much with video games, and a part of me is like, I am so torn because it looks cool, but another part of me hates it because I'm like, no, I like not necessarily knowing everyone in a video game.
There have been some absolutely shocking performances by Hollywood actors in video games.
And animation.
Yes, for sure, especially in animation. But if they do it well, if the performance is good, I'm all for it.
Yep.
All for it.
And you understand why they do it. I just don't want it to become the be all and end all for video games because they've thrived so well with without it or without the need. Like they've had the sprinkling. I mean, for years there have been these cameos. We've just highlighted it this whole episode. But I feel like you can have a balance of both, you know, because I'd hate to think that a lot of younger actors that work in the voice acting industry will miss out on this field too if Hollywood keeps inching their way into all the different fields.
Well, if you can't get booked for a gig in a video game, just do what Kojima did. Make a video game and put yourself in it as a guest character. Not the only director, just as a little asterisk, epilogue, appendices. I can think of another director who put himself in his own game, and I've already mentioned him once in this episode. David Cage.
Oh, yeah.
In the introduction to Fahrenheit, during the tutorial, David Cage himself guides you through his world with a heavy, thick French-Canadian accent that is very difficult to understand.
Oh, it's been fun. If we've missed any celebrity cameos that you think are noteworthy, let us know at thegaminglovers.com, on social media.
Let us know what your favourite Holly Valance movie is.
Oh, my goodness.
It has to be Dead or Alive.
Has she done anything other than that?
I don't care. Dead or Alive's good.
Oh,
It's like a bad Charlie's Angels knockoff. And when you have the standard of the Charlie's Angels movies that it was trying to knock off, you know exactly where that Dead or Alive sits. We've done an episode all about good and bad video game movies, or should I say bad and worse, much, much earlier in the archives.
We've also done an episode talking about cameos in fighting games, which is why we kind of steered away from most of those. So if you want to hear some of the best ones from different fighting games over the years, check that episode out in our archives.
This has been a lovely little reflective, eye-opening look at the world of celebrity appearances.
And it's fun to see which ones have been done well and which ones are kind of just hilariously bad, you know?
Yes.
Where they've been shoehorned in where they don't need to be.
Unnecessary.
Yes.
Fred Durst, I don't want you in any more games. Stay away.
For the time, though, it was relevant. Even
Was
though
it,
that
though?
game came out years after the movie.
Was it though? Let's move on. We'll be right back after this with our future tense gaming goals aspirations that we will no doubt fall short of.
Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at BrendoGem. That's BrendoJem.
If I can pry myself away from egg ink for just a few scarce hours this week, my gaming goals, Brendo of the Gaming Lovers podcast declares his gaming goals to be these things that I'm about to say. The Outer Worlds, the end.
Are you getting close to endgame at all?
No chance.
No?
No chance. This is like an 80-hour game.
All right.
There are still planets in this little solar system that are locked. So I've not even... I mean, the ones I've unlocked, I've only gone to about half of. So there's still a lot of gameplay left. It's a game that when I'm away from it, I'm thinking about it. And when I'm playing it, it's all I want to do is to keep staying in the zone. I have been playing on normal difficulty. I was warned normal difficulty can be a bit easy. I haven't died since like the first hour of the game. But I'm completely fine with that because I'm comfortable and I'm enjoying the game and I'm not frustrated. And as much as I love a challenge with a Souls-style game or an insanity run in Mass Effect, occasionally I like being overpowered.
There's something fun about just wiping the floor with your enemies because you can't do that in real life.
I'm still shocked that you haven't started The Outer Worlds. This is a game that I thought you would be kicking me in the face to grab a controller to allow you to play The Outer Worlds.
It is definitely on my radar. I guess I've been so busy.
Yeah.
I've been too scared to start it because I don't want to be so consumed by a game that I can't do what I have to get done. Like there's a lot of tight deadlines at the moment, and if I do get distracted, it will make it really hard for me to... I'm a bad procrastinator.
Oh dear.
So I've just been kind of trying to, you know, I know myself. I'll start it when it's safe. So, yeah.
Whereas I'm just like an addict and just can't help myself. And if I've got to spare half an hour, even if half an hour isn't really enough to play The Outer Worlds, I'm playing The Outer Worlds.
I can't do that with... like mobile games, sure, half an hour is fine, plenty. For a big story-like game, I love to have a good 3 hours minimum spare to get sunk into the game.
Who are we kidding? That's just you going to be creating your character. It'll take
Exactly.
you 3 hours.
For me this week, I want to get through a bit more of Hakuoki and hopefully start another chapter run and get an ending. The fact that it's gone so long is good in the sense that I think I'm on the right path to get a good ending, which is kind of hard to do blind.
Yep, first time through visual novels should always just be blind.
And then after I get that first bit checkpoint kind of done, I can start blitzing through it a bit more. I'll have more momentum. But I don't know, I have loitering over my head the thought of Pokemon Sword and Shield because I want that unicorn Pokemon.
Oh, you want the Galarian Ponyta.
It's so cute.
I think that's exclusive to one type, though. One edition of that game.
Shield.
So that will determine what you get. The version I said I wouldn't get because it looks garbage compared to the other legendary.
Maybe we'll have to wait till they release the third. There's always a third which combines the two, right, and adds another legendary.
Not always.
There usually is.
Not always.
But if there is.
Was there a third Pokemon Let's Go?
No, but that wasn't really introducing new Pokemon. That was just like a nostalgia kick.
Was there a third Sun and Moon? No, they made sequel/upgrades. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Was there a Pokemon Z? No, there wasn't. They haven't done the third edition in quite a while.
Aw. I don't know then.
Well, then it's just your excuse to get a launch date.
No.
Agreed. It's been sorted. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope you have a lovely gaming week. Of course, let us know what you're playing. And it'll no doubt tempt me to drop what I'm doing and try that instead. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Inara.
Chowski.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.